We have some pretty significant breaking news to discuss in the NHL. Some wild accusations coming from Ottawa Senators owner Michael Andlauer launched towards the New York Rangers regarding soft tampering. We'll discuss what he's referring to, what it means, what could come from it as the Board of Governors meetings kick off in Florida today. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today is I expect it to be a pretty newsy day as the NHL Board of Governors meetings kick off, of course, down in Florida. And I know a lot of NHL reporters are down there covering it, and you certainly expect different topics and different types of news to be coming out of those meetings. So I expected it to be a newsy type of day, but this is not something that I kind of seen coming. However, fair to say, Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, he's pissed. He's not happy, and let's get into why he's not happy, what he had to say, and kind of where all this is coming from. Of course, if you follow this channel, we had a video discussing a story that was launched by the New York Post late last week as the Jacob Trouba situation was coming to a head. Before we knew on Friday morning that there was reports that Trouba was very likely going to be traded that day or placed on waivers, that he was basically given an ultimatum and that it was expected that the trade was going to happen instead of the waivers, and that they were confident a deal will go down within the next 24 hours. Then it ended up going down later into the afternoon, early evening, or whatever. I can't remember exactly what time of day it went down, but it went down on Friday later in the day. Okay, now while we were waiting for the kind of details to emerge, a story came out from Larry Brooks of the New York Post saying that the New York Rangers were working on a variety of things, that moving captain Jacob Trouba might not be the end of it, and just not the exact quote here, but I'll show you the snapshot here from his post on X with the article, basically saying that the New York Rangers were targeting Brady Tkachuk with out of the Ottawa Senators, and that these trade talks could turn out to be a whopper. So that's not the exact quote from there, but that's kind of summarizing what he said in his post. So, of course, that gets tons of attention. People in Ottawa are like, what the heck is this? The Ottawa Senators are at a point where they are sick and tired of the Brady Tkachuk rumors. It seems like about every 6 to 12 months, it comes up. Sometimes it's coming from a different fan base. Like I remember last summer, there was, I think it was podcasts out of St. Louis talking about how I think it was Andy Strickland, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize if that's wrong, but I know there was one of the podcasters down there that said they had sources saying that, a Brady Tkachuk trade was very realistic and that he wasn't happy and all this. And the Senators, they have to keep going back to Brady and saying, like, listen, we're not trying to trade you. We do not want to trade you. We're trying to build around you, as we keep telling you. And, if you're Brady Tkachuk and you constantly have to have the GM and the owner coming to you, reassuring you that these rumors are not true, eventually, I think from their standpoint, they're going to start to think, well, what if eventually he stops believing us? Like, we have to have trust in this relationship. So Michael Andlauer today basically accused the New York Rangers of what he called soft tampering. Now, tampering would mean essentially that you've normally, in most cases, will be that you've had discussions with a player under contract to another team. You're trying to lure him away or what have you. You can't do that. There's different other ways you could tamper as well. So anyways, obviously, like talking to Pierre LeBrun this morning, Michael Andlauer, who was meeting with him for another piece that LeBrun was writing for The Athletic, basically got this off his chest. And of course, going to these meetings this morning, I expect it to be something that comes up as a topic. So basically accusing them of soft tampering. I suggest that he's likely assuming that they're feeding information to this New York Post writer. And he's tired of it. He said basically, he's sick of the team and him and GM Steve Staios having to go to Brady all the time and deny this stuff. Now, we have also seen a statement that Michael Andlauer gave Bruce Garriock of the Ottawa newspaper. He said that I cannot just sit back and watch someone try to disrupt our organization using blatant misinformation without pushing back. So he's fully, upset here that he's constantly having to go to his captain and deny these things. Now, Frank Saravalli acquired a statement from the New York Rangers side of it, and they said that it's an irresponsible accusation, and we defer to the commissioner's office. So I don't think we're going to be seeing these two teams really do much in the way of business in the future in the next little while here. Fair to say that there's some brewing bad blood. Obviously, writers and insiders, they get their sources and their information from a variety of places. And oftentimes, there's somebody in the organization that leaks things out, right? Now, where Larry Brooks got this information from on Brady Tkachuk, we don't know, right? But knowing how the business works, you would think that somebody that he talks to, and this is just a guess here, within the Rangers organization, kind of led him to think that they would be targeting him. And now there's another thing too. I've seen some writers say, well, can we not write a story and say this team should be targeting this type of player? Yeah, that's fiction. That's fantasy. That's not saying that there's trade talks. It's not saying that there's, that could be a whopper of a deal. Like, it's different, right? If you write a story and say, the New York Rangers really could use a type of player similar to Brady Tkachuk. Okay. Now, you're going to pick a name like that for, obviously clicks and views and, obviously a big name to draw attention. That's what everybody wants, right? I mean, it's no different than what anybody does when you're creating blogs, videos. Do I want people to watch my content? Of course. But I'm not trying to be clickbaity here. Like, you're talking about a legit thing. So when I put up a story, I know sometimes accuse me of being clickbaity and be like, well, it's a real story. Like, I'm delivering to you what I said it was in the thumbnail and the title. There's no misleading here, nothing like that. And I'm not making up things that are not true. Do we talk about things that are not necessarily a rumor? And if it's my opinion, and if it's just something that I think a team should do, I disclose that. And that's different. And that's no different than other writers that are putting out articles saying, hey, this team really could use a player like this, and they would be so much better. And you know what? That's fine. Like I said, that's more fiction and fantasy to me, and it's just kind of like a what if. But when you go as far to say that these teams there's trade talks and like the things are going on behind the scenes that they're trying to actually pry this player out of an organization, that's a completely different story. That's the problem, right? So like, if I say here, the Ottawa Senators really should target a player like a Matthew Tkachuk and try to, or I don't know, a Chris Kreider or whatever, like, okay, and I disclose that this is just my opinion. If I'm Ottawa and I'm the GM, this is what I think they should do. Okay, that's just an opinion. Like I said, it's fiction, it's fantasy. I'm not saying that, these teams are actually having conversations, and this might actually happen. It's not the same thing. Now, Elliotte Friedman recently was talking on one of his podcasts back, I want to say it was a couple weeks ago, that there was not long ago, there was a memo that went from the league to all the teams reminding them about tampering. It's been a hot topic around the NHL. Apparently, Elliotte was saying that they are not thrilled with how the last round of free agent frenzy went on July 1. And I'm like, well, you have to know that tampering is widespread in the NHL. And if you don't think it is, then you must be, I don't know, living under a rock or something. Like, you must be in fantasy world, because when free agency period opens and you've got all these deals announced within no time, how do you really think a negotiation, a contract of that magnitude came together in 10 minutes? It didn't. There's no way. Obviously they were talking well ahead of time. It happens all the time. Like, we're not stupid. Like, these things don't come together in 5-10 minutes. Like, after the bell rings, free agent period's open, and like, oh my God, this player signs an 8-year deal at $70 million. Like, okay, do you think like one phone call, 5 minutes, as soon as free agency open, hey, do you want to sign with whatever team for 8 years? Sure, done deal. Like, it's not how it works. That they would have been talking for at least a few days, So clearly the league seems to be wanting to crack down on tampering. It's been a hot topic. Now you have an upset owner. I honestly don't think anything's going to come from it, though, because here's the thing: is they're going to need proof to have anything done, and I don't know that anybody is stupid enough to really leave any proof laying around. So, for example, the only thing they could do, and I don't know that they would go this far, are you going to confiscate Larry Brooks' phone and be like, okay, what text messages were you given? What emails did you receive? Who were they from? Did somebody in the Rangers organization actually tell him that they were, officially trying to talk to Ottawa and have talks about acquiring this player? Like, what was he given? Or was his story, the way it was written, was it more just maybe not chosen the right words, to make people think that it was more legit than what it was? I mean, it was quickly shot down by other insiders. We've seen Darren Dreger from TSN, and then I know some of the local Ottawa media got comments from the team, and it was all very within no time, within an hour or something like that. It was like basically everybody was saying it was BS garbage, was the exact wording. And, again, just like, so we talked about it on the channel, just so that if you heard about the story, you knew what was going on with it. Where did it come from? Where did it originate? And is there anything to it? Just like yesterday, I talked about there was a bunch of rumors that were false about Dylan Larkin floating all through social media. But basically, which like I said, it seemed like, to me, my take on it was angry Sens people, fans, saying, you know what, we're tired of our fan base having to deal with this crap. We're going to pick on another team. And like I said, I didn't like that. I understand the frustration. I understand the fact that you're tired of seeing and dealing with it. But, you don't respond that way and cause the same grief for another franchise for no reason. It even got to the point where insider Chris Johnston replied and had to shut it down because they went as far as to say that Chris Johnston had been saying this on either, I don't know if it was a radio hit, podcast, whatever it was. I'm like, you can't expect him not to defend his name because he never said these things, right? So anyways, obviously the Larry Brooks story last Friday get everybody up in an uproar. The Sens are pretty ticked off about it. The owner's ticked, making some big accusations towards the New York Rangers. The Rangers are saying it's irresponsible, obviously claiming their innocence here, and maybe they are innocent. But like I said, without any kind of hard proof, I don't imagine we're going to see anything come from this besides maybe a war of words. Will the NHL maybe put out some sort of reminder memo or something? Maybe that's probably all that's going to come from it, but essentially, Michael Landauer wants the other 31 teams to know to back off and to stop, making up false stories about his captain. But, you got to understand at the same time that, we're in a Canadian market with a passionate fan base. You haven't had the success that you want. You haven't had the success that their fan base wants or that everybody feels you should be experiencing with the roster you've built. And you have a player that 30 other teams covet. So, unfortunately, when you get these big markets, they look at the smaller markets and other areas and be like, oh, well, he wouldn't want to stay there. They're not winning. He's going to want to go to a market with better taxes and better chance to win. And that's just how a lot of media think and how a lot of different markets look at things, right? So I can understand why big market New York will look at small market Ottawa and be like, well, he obviously is passionate. He wants to win. They haven't done that there. And really, why wouldn't he want to come back to the, a bigger market, better chance to win? Now, New York's not going to give you better taxes, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I get why they look at things that way. It's frustrating being from Canada and living in a smaller market. I get the frustrations, but it's just something, unfortunately, I think we're not going to have any choice but to put up with. That's just life in Canada in smaller markets, and it's tough. And maybe it's not a level playing field, but that's just what we have. We have no choice but to put up with it as hockey fans, and in his case, as a hockey owner and major fan himself. So obviously at this point, I would suspect that with these accusations, that probably will cool things down on the Brady Tkachuk talk for a while, but will it go away completely? Probably not. Winning solves everything. I've said this before, and it's not just about other things. Like stuff like this will go away. Winning solves everything. If the team is winning, they get a winning record, they're trending towards playoffs, Are people going to be talking about the lack of success and that's why they think he wants to leave? Or why they think they can pry him out of there? Without that, it's going to be tough to make the noise go away. So go win and shut everybody up. That is what I think they need to do. And until they do, I just don't think it's going to happen. And as much as I don't like it, I just think that's the way it is. So I can totally understand, and I feel Ian Lauer for being upset. I just don't know that there's anything we can do about it. Besides having the team go win. That's just all I got to say about that. So let me know what you think on this big accusation, big newsy Monday morning, and we'll talk about it further in the comments. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and announcements of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.